Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and thanks for stopping in and watching this video. And to cover what this video is going to be about is the game that I am somewhat developing and designing and creating overall, and I have not made much progress in the last week or so because of other things going on. But what I would like to cover in this video is the basics of the game, what it is, what's it going to be, and a lot of the main features that are projected for part of the game right now. And this is mostly going to be a lot of just reading from text and just looking at things overall. But, you know, this is just one of my test areas that I've been playing around with, and this was just to test a health, hunger, and thirst system. And, you know, this is just a static character. For some reason these aren't working as intended. They will replenish your thirst. These are just little cans for now, and these are just bricks of food. This is just, you know, test stuff. So what I'm going to do, just for the giggles of it, is I am going to come in here, and it's so much nicer actually having a mouse that works instead of screwing up every 5 seconds. But I'm going to change these down to 5 seconds. And what just wanted to do from this is show you that they do work. Not that it's a critical point at this part, but as you see, over time your hunger and thirst will start replenishing. Now this is just purely because you're not eating, you're not drinking, and eventually what's going to happen as you're going through, and it's not going to be this quick, I promise you. This is just to test the food items and the drink items. Unfortunately, the animations aren't working correctly, but what was supposed to happen was this guy here would also be suffering, even though he's just an NPC, would be suffering from hunger and thirst, and if he didn't eat or didn't drink, which he's not gonna, he's just gonna sit there and do nothing, and he was supposed to just keel over and die. But the animations aren't working, and I won't get into that because of, you know, because of Unreal Engine. Now you see that both hunger and thirst have gone down to 0, and, you know, I'm now taking health damage and will end up dying. And of course, the animations aren't working correctly, but what was happening is, let's see, as it is now, you just freeze and do nothing. You go into a T-pose or whatever, and you're done. So what I'm going to do now is go back in while they're on this really fast-paced bleed out. Alright, so you see that the hunger and thirst are going down. You run over this, you essentially run over it, you pick it up, and then bang, your hunger, you receive food. Same with thirst, you run over the can, and it replenishes your thirst. However, for some reason, they're not always disappearing when you run over them. So, no, they're gone. They're not going to respawn. So, yeah, I'll just cancel that out, and we'll get on with what I was talking about. Now, this is just, like I said, testing functionality of the hunger, the thirst, and the health systems in the game. They do work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to and bore the living crap out of you with the basics. Now, temporarily the name of the game is called Rebirth, but I'm just calling it the game for now because, you know, because reasons. The intro, I actually have an intro, but won't cover that in this video. But the main functionality of the game is that you are a humanoid or human. You are a clone. What has happened is the city that you're in is part of a large-scale test or something of that nature. And what it is, you're confined to the city itself. You cannot leave. There's no way to leave. You're just there, and that's just the thing. There will be other cities, there will be other environments you can go to as well, and we'll cover that later on, but you're confined to the city. The things that you can do is you can walk around the city, fully interact with all the environments, interact with other players. Again, you will have a hunger system. You will get hungry. If you do not eat, you will die. You have a thirst system. If you do not drink, you will get thirsty. You can die of thirst. You can get killed by melee or by weapons. Not planning anything completely sci-fi or off the wall in this game. It is a first-person based. As you can see, the camera is firmly pressed through your head, so as you're walking around, you can actually see your body. And since a lot of people do like a third-person view, I don't. Honestly, what I'm contemplating is a temporary mouse wheel to scroll out or something of that nature, where you can actually look at your character, or a key that you can press to actually get an exterior view to see how you actually look. Because as a human player, not a robot, these are just placeholders, you'll be able to put on different clothing, you'll be able to carry things and change your appearance overall. Once you create your first initial character, that's how your character looks. You won't be able to change your physical properties normally. However, you will be able to change clothing and cosmetic attire. Thinking maybe down the line, if you decided you're going to spend some time with your character, but really and truly, I don't want to do a whole lot of augmentation. Once you create your character, it's there. That's you. That is your character. There won't be a whole lot of character customization because you are technically a clone, and once you're killed, then you're able to not just respawn your character, but you get placed into another clone character, or another clone body. So, being that you are a clone, how do you maintain everything? The currency for the entire global area is all an electronic currency system. All money is transferred electronically back and forth. There is no physical carrying around cash. If I come over here and I kill this character right here, he dies, she dies, what have you, there will be no money transferred for me killing that person. Now, if that person actually had a bounty on them, that's a different story, and you would claim that bounty electronically. Now, going along with that basic theme, you're going to have a starting clone. When you first start off, you will be assigned a temporary location, a temporary home, so to speak, and all it will be is essentially a broom closet sized thing. You go there and that's it. You don't really get any storage, nothing. You just have a base character. And if you would like to purchase storage, using game currency to purchase a storage facility to be able to keep those items that you have that are personal possessions. If you pick up a weapon, or if you pick up a new set of clothing or whatever, you can store all of your stuff there. You can also later on, as you acquire more wealth, you can actually rent a apartment or a house or just property in general. Sorry. But once you have an apartment, you can then, it belongs to your electronic ID, so to speak, and you will actually, even if you die, you'll be able to go back and be able to gain entrance to your apartment, and all of your physical belongings that you have stored there will be there. On that same note, if I'm walking down the street and I haven't eaten anything or drank anything and I just die of thirst, or somebody comes along and murders me, or I just die from whatever, everything that I'm carrying, all my physical property that I'm carrying on me at that time, will stay on my body and be lootable by anybody. So if I kill bot number 1 and bot number 2 runs over and starts stealing all the stuff off of that body, then if I want the stuff off that body, then I'm going to have to go and fight off this other bot or this other player so that I can get that gear. If they drop weapons, you can take their weapons, you can take their clothing, you can take anything and everything that they have on them. Now, being that you are a clone, you have been cloned essentially as a male body or a female body, but you essentially have no reproductive organs. Yeah, kind of sucks at it. So that's just a way of kind of keeping it somewhat PG, so you don't have some weirdo running down the street buck naked, fire hose flopping in the breeze. Yeah, or some guy portraying a female character and running around naked trying to act whorish or whatever. You know, it's trying to help tone down some of the general douchebaggery. On that rate, the primary areas that you'll be inhabiting are not PvP. There will be PvP areas so that you can engage in either actual combat, or if you want to go to a specific underworld vendor, you're going to have to go into dark territory. And once you go into that area, I don't want to call it like the dark zone because this isn't the Division, but if you go into that dark area or a dark part of town, then you are in a PvP capable area and other players can ambush you, kill you, take all your stuff. So you take your risk. If you want to go into the underworld areas and buy from those irreparable dealers, then they may have great pricing. However, you may end up getting ambushed and killed in those areas. So you need to be well armed or in a good group. There will be areas that are dedicated as no player versus player, no friendly fire, unfriendly fire, what have you. But there are other ways that you can die. And that would be from NPCs or what have you. But then there's also fall damage, things of that nature. So trying to make a realistic real world environment. The environment will be a city. It will be an urban area. You might be able to choose, say, maybe a suburban area, which would be, once you obtain a certain level or what have you, you could actually move out of the big city, move into an urban environment, and pretty much the same basic laws apply to that. Or maybe even buy your way into a dedicated PvP only area or a dedicated PvE only area. You know, these are things that can be picked up on and expanded on later. Some of the ideas that were looked at was the idea of using the robotic character, and I'm back and forth on that, but I want to stick with the human clone idea for other reasons down the road, and that's for revenue purposes and for funding the game and so forth by real world advertisers and so forth. I don't want to get too much into that right now. Yeah, part of that was with the Avatar or program where you're actually in a robotic platform, and that's not really going to be the case there. Looked at an overall neutrality or faction base. I mean, you could choose to be a good, bad, or neutral, and that kind of thing. Kind of shying away from that overall. You are what you are, and you are who you are, and you are how you are in the game. So once you're there, that kind of stuff. There's no true factions. However, groups can be formed, so to speak. You could be part of a gang or a faction if you wanted to purchase the ability to join a faction. And I want to try to keep microtransactions in the game as minimal as possible or non-existent. The only thing I would really like to do is I would like for this game to not be free to play, as in anybody can download it free and play it free. I do want to make it to where you do have to pay, we'll say, $20 to buy the game. That helps to kind of give you an account and give you accountability of your account. If it was free to download and free to play, that's not a bad business model with the other things that I have planned. It is just that if anybody can create a free account, then it leads to worse level of douchebaggery, spamming, and things like that. There's no accountability for you to behave, so to speak. So if you actually had to pay, say, $20 to get your account, you're less likely to go in there and do something that's going to get your account banned or suspended to where you cannot play something that you paid money for. You're going to be less likely to get banned. You'll behave enough to where you can follow enough of the rules to where you're good to go. While we're sitting here, even though I only made one change, we'll do a quick build just to archive and save everything that I just did. But with that being said, though, once you've purchased the game, I don't want there to be a pay-to-win type environment. There's plenty of games out there that offer premium content that you buy it and you get this really cool gun or this really cool tank or this really cool ship or plane that is better than anything that anybody can get in the game for free. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want anybody to be able to throw money at the game and instantly have an advantage over somebody who doesn't have money to throw at the game. So you pay your $20, you get the game, you download it, you set up your account, you go in, you're in your player. Okay. The things that you will have that are premium content primarily will be premium properties, premium clothing, cosmetic items, things of that nature that will not give you a significant advantage in combat. Perhaps allow you to buy currency. I really want to encourage players to actually be part of the economy, but I don't want there to be player-to-player interactions in a normal sense, because if player A can give money to player B, that's going to allow access for people to start begging for money. It also lets people have the idea that they can sell their money as electronic media. And yes, I did partake in that years ago in certain video games where I would actually work my butt off to get in-game currency or products or what have you, then turn right around and put them on eBay and sell them for real currency. And I made a living off of that. But things have changed, and I'm wanting to eliminate the player-to-player interactions that way. However, as a premium, you would be able to purchase a storefront, and things that you craft, you could actually buy, sell, and trade inside a store environment. You could create things that you can sell to your customers. You could maybe, if somebody else has been crafting an item, they can sell it to you. Items that you've scavenged off the street, you can sell to a vendor or you can sell to a player store, things of that nature. And that I would like to be a premium, so not everybody can have a store, and it's also limited to the store locations, and different stores will probably be different amounts. If your store, you want to buy a store in a prime location, well, it's going to cost you more money. And that's just one small way of generating revenue. And when you buy something, you're not actually buying it, you're renting it. Because what happens if I go in here and I create a character and I go in and I buy this storefront for, $99.99, and now I own it forever. And then a month later, I'm no longer able to play the video game, or I just hate the game and I don't ever want to come back. Well, I've just locked that property forever. So what I'm thinking is, for commercial properties like that, you purchase the right for that building, okay? And for some reason you don't make enough money to support that business, or you should have to pay a set amount of currency per month to be able to maintain that property. And after a set amount of time, if you haven't paid that currency, or you haven't paid the rent on that building, or you could look at it as taxes, if you haven't paid the taxes on that facility, then the property would then revert back to a for sale status. Anything and everything inside of it would be lost, and that kind of stuff. And then it would suck that you're paying real money for this property, but just because I paid for it and I decided to quit playing the game, but I come back 2 years later and want to play the game again, why should that piece of property be locked for 2 years? If you don't pay your taxes in real life, then the government can come in and take your house. They can take your property. They can take your car. Welcome to reality. It's stupid and it sucks. I paid my hard-earned money for this. Why shouldn't I be able to keep it forever? Well, because the government, so that's just one way of looking at it, so that you don't have a piece of property locked forever, and it becomes a physical thing, a physical property. Moving on past that, again, the only way you can do a player-to-player interaction is if you own property and you have a storefront. If you have a storefront, then you can buy from other players, or sell to other players, or barter with them. So with the fact that there's a hunger and thirst system, say, if to help with the funding and the production costs and so forth of the game, there will be billboards along the streets. There will be posters and ads and advertisements on walls and so forth. Maybe an advertisement on the side of a bus. There will be advertising that is paid advertising. And I'm going to make this example, if Starbucks Coffee or Black Rifle Coffee Company, we'll use that, I like them better. If Black Rifle Coffee Company wants to sponsor an advertisement, or they want to sponsor a store, they can actually, just like you would for normal advertising, they will be able to purchase billboard space or a storefront. And hell, if Black Rifle Coffee Company, if they were to be one of the sponsors to allow their product to be in the game and so forth, then, being them who they are, I'd probably give them a store just because of who they are. Now, don't go be telling Matt and the guys that I'm giving away free stuff, because the game's not even close to being in a development status to where it's ready for anything like that. But that's the whole point, is the revenue for the game. Since right now the development budget is zero, I have nothing, and I'm not going to go to Kickstarter and try to create something because I don't have a staff yet. I don't have everything in place to make it all happen. So as things progress and other people come on board to start making the game a reality, then that's the thing. Advertisers, product placement. If you want to sell Black Rifle Coffee Company, trying to be nice with my language right now, but CAF or AK-47 or one of the other coffees that they sell, if you want to go buy a cup of coffee, then okay, cool, but you'll be able to walk over to their store and purchase a cup of coffee from one of their coffee restaurants. Or if you want to go to their store and buy, and then that's going to handle thirst, but I would say also caffeine would be a stimulant, and yeah, that would have a buff of its own. Food, you could buy snacks or whatever they sell in their stores. But same fact, restaurants, if Yum Foods or Taco Bell or KFC or Pizza Hut or whatever, they want to buy or lease, so to speak, a restaurant in a prime location of town, then that's going to get them product placement, and that's going to get them advertising. There's going to get people looking at their product and seeing their product, and even though they're only buying it in a video game, they're going to have a higher percentage of chance of wanting to go, well, hell, I just went to Taco Bell in a game. Now I want a friggin' taco, so I'm going to get in my car and go down the street and buy me some tacos. So, advertising is advertising. I want to generate that advertising revenue to help support the development of the game. So, billboards, signs, product placement. Example, if Ford Motor Company wants to kick in some bucks, then we'll put Ford products in the game. Cars for players to be able to drive, destroy, or what have you. Of course, I believe Ford has this thing about their cars in video games can't reflect damage. I think that was a thing at one time. So on one particular game, whenever they went to version 2 of that game, they didn't allow their product in the game because they didn't want it to reflect damage. They didn't want their beautiful product getting dented and damaged. So yeah, but you follow what I'm saying there. That's part of the revenue for publishing the game. Actually, for the budget of the game, the money will be spent primarily to pay staff members, to pay for, if you're familiar with Unreal Engine 4, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, hopefully, and I'm just going to look ugly for a second here. Yep. There's a marketplace that you can actually go to for Unreal Engine 4 and actually purchase things, assets and stuff. If I want to buy a character to use in the game, I can purchase this character set here, and I think that this actually would be one of the things that I would look at for the game later on for an urban and wooded area, is something like this forest animal pack. It was like 7 animals and they look really good, and now this person or persons that are from this particular developer made a good product, and I would actually, it's $50 for me to use that product in the game. Works for me. That will be one of the asset packs that I would actually purchase for the development of the game. And no, I am not doing zombies. I don't want zombies. Zombies are done. Sorry. I want a realistic character, but I can scroll through and use a development budget to either purchase assets this way. If I want to purchase Gustavo's female characters or what have you, I can purchase blueprints for different things like a destruction system or dynamic targeting, interactive foliage. There's just so many different things. Weapons. Yeah, I can buy pre-made weapons packages. Textures, sound effects, music, effects in general. There's a lot of things that can be purchased directly from here and utilized. Here's doors. I mean, I could just buy that pack, and there I got some nice doors for use. Modern bedroom textures and appliances and furniture and so forth. There's so many things that are already pre-made that can be purchased for use in the game. And there's a lot of really good stuff in this marketplace store too. But as you see, like the environments, materials, props, animations. That's one of the key things that's really important to have. Monk animations, or if it was into the sword thing, or like ultimate game animations. All this stuff is available and already rigged to, like, a lot of these are actually rigged to the standard Epic mannequin skeleton tree, which adds a lot of usability. Since all these are already set up, they're all using the same skeleton. Of course, I've already got a bunch of animations, But that's the whole point, is there's a lot of assets already available. And part of the development budget would be to buy prefabs that could be integrated in relatively quickly. Part of it's going to be for paying someone to create the terrains, the buildings, the models. At the very beginning, what's going to happen is, since there's not going to be any developer or not any sponsors and products at first, there will be a Beefalo brand soda, a generic soda can with generic markings on it, generic food items, generic restaurants, generic everything, and those will be the placeholders for, if Coca-Cola wants to come in, or you want Mountain Dew to be able to be purchased in the store, then they're going to have to kick in advertising money. They're going to have to pay you, essentially, to have their product placement. So you could have Mountain Dew in the game, you could have Coke products in the game, you could have Pepsi products in the game, Cheer Wine, RC Cola, whatever. If you go into a Taco Bell restaurant, those things have to be modeled. The tables, the booze, the counters, the clothing, all that stuff has to be created. So, and once they're created, they're there. And if they decided they wanted to pull out for now and then come back later on, well, the assets are already there. They could come back in and, like, yeah, we want to go ahead and Taco Bell, we want to come back in and we want to put in 3 stores. Okay, no problem. And all we'd have to do is just reinstate the existing models and clothing and so forth. So it would be easier, and they would get a reduced price for the comeback once they've already established an account with the company. In theory, want to keep development costs as low as possible, but then again, want to keep everybody who contributes. At first, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done, and a lot of things that have to get done to make it to where it's a good enough game where people want to spend money on advertising and more people want to play the game. If you've only got 20 people playing the game, who the hell is going to spend money on advertising? But if you've got 20,000 people that are playing that game at any one given time, then, oh yeah, people are going to jump on it and they're going to want to get their advertising in. But on that, I don't want to be the owner of a company that essentially just is out for me and try to make my money. I feel that if you're working for me right now, you're not going to get a damn penny. There's no development budget. There's no money. If there's no money, you can't get paid. Simple as that. But if, on that same note, if we're bringing in X number of dollars, there needs to be a minimum salary cap for each person. Not a maximum, but a minimum salary cap at start, so that if you're working your ass off and you're creating models, if you're making animations, if you're doing stuff that is productive for the game, there's a minimum amount that you should get paid for the products that you have created for the game. You get paid for what you do. I'm not going to pay, I wouldn't justify paying somebody just for a job title. You're cool because you sit around and you do nothing, but you're going to get paid for it? No. You're going to have to work for what you get, but just the same, there won't be a surplus of cash laying about. If there's a surplus of cash, then we need to create new content. We need to go out there and do and that's one of the things that I think that a video game company should do, is to actually be able to go out and meet the community. Go city to city, country to country, and visit, set up whether it's going to a hotel lobby and renting a conference room or an auditorium or what have you. Give back to the players. Give back to the developers. Everybody needs to be comfortable. Everybody needs to make a living. I know that in the beginning there's going to be no development budget whatsoever, and people are going to have to work, and people are not going to get paid. But once the money's coming in, the staff won't starve. Let's put it that way. I can talk about this for hours, but it won't make any sense to talk much about it until there's something to actually talk about. Just to go back over some of the other things here, I looked at the ideas of having a multi-tier game, one where it was a free-to-play element, which I'm totally against right now. But if I went with this particular model here, then the base tier is a free-to-play game, and this is going along with structure I saw from another game, and I like it, but I don't, if that makes sense. Your base level is your free-to-play. You get to create one character. That's it. This was I guess the best way to look at it is ant colony based. If you're a free-to-play player, you can only create one character. You can only do certain things. You can't own a business. You can't own property. You can only have minimal this and that and everything else. There's enough stuff for you to do as a free-to-play player, but yeah, it's just, if you want, then you pay. And that's just, I didn't like that overall. And doing monthly subscriptions and things of that nature, and they're good ways of making money for the company, but it's just not a great business model anymore. So by doing you buy the game, great. I want to try to make it again to where once you own the game, you can play. I don't want to sit there and have to nickel and dime all the players to make revenue for development. That's why I want to go with the open world. I want to go with the Hunger and the Thirst system, because if you have to eat and you have to drink, then you're going to need to go to a restaurant, or you're going to have to go to a store and buy the things that you need to keep your butt alive, just like you do in real life. So why not get some advertising funding and so forth, so that the player doesn't actually have to come out of pocket every month for a subscription, or buy premium this or premium that. I don't want to nickel and dime the player if I can get enough ad revenue to keep adding new content and making the game worth coming back and playing, keeping the player base as high as possible, but also keeping the player base happy as possible. I want happy players keep playing the game. And you look at games that have been around for 3, 4, 5, 8 years. Look at Wargaming and World of Tanks, how long it's been around. Look how long World of Warcraft has been around. You got to have reasons for people to keep coming back. So that's the whole thing, is I want there to be enough content in the game to where it's fresh and people want to keep coming back. So anybody that comes on board and wants to join, I have a number of games that you either need to own or can look at. I can show videos of, or what have you, that are the models for how I want the game to look and feel. Elements from a dozen different games come into one. Alright, so I've probably bored everybody enough for right now. So, in summary, the game is first person. It's a first-person shooter. It's a role-playing game. There's RPG elements to the game. There's FPS shooter-based elements to the game. There's crafting. There's player-to-player interactions, social areas, hangouts. There's a good supply of advertising and product placement and things of that nature. There should be a good development budget once things kick off and get to that point. You're playing as a human character, but you are a clone. So whenever you get killed, you lose your physical possessions, but you don't lose your health. Your rank, or your if you've put all your time and effort in learning new skills and improving your skills, you don't lose those by getting killed. In other words, you don't lose any money when you get killed. You only lose physical possessions you had on you at that moment. That's it. It's pretty much the same you would have in real life. Of course, hopefully you're not getting killed on a regular basis. So yeah. If you have any questions about content for the game, suggestions for the content of the game, if you want to get in on the development of the game, feel free to let me know in the comments. And I will respond to the comments. I will respond as quickly as I possibly can. What are the things that I need development-wise, staff-wise? I need player characters, male and female humans. Realistic looking. I want to try to make this a good looking game. I don't want to make it cartoony. I don't want to make this look like, nothing against the game Minecraft, but I don't want a Minecraft world. I want a decent looking real world. So I need a male and female character. I need clothing, at least a base set of clothing. Character creation. I've already looked at it. One of those, but a character creator for the male and the female character. I need animators to do the basic animations needed for the different things, like sitting in a chair to drawing a pistol from your belt, from a holster or whatever. Primarily weapons right now. All I really want is a generic pistol, either being a generic 1911 or a generic pistol based off of the SIG P320. If you're not familiar with it, Google it. But starting off with just a handgun only is the only thing we're going to need at first for a weapon. The animations for a third person, and for right now, everything can be based off of the UE4 mannequin, and all of the animations and so forth. Everything needs to be riggable for that skeleton, so we'll be able to have a basic to work with. So we just need the handgun and the animations associated with that, the ability to sit down in a chair, basic, normal, everyday animations. And I'm going to need someone for terrains. We need a full urban environment, and not post-apocalyptic, and not, it needs to be a normal city with normal environments, no trash laying about. It just needs to be a normal, average, everyday, medium-sized city. Nothing like New York City or anything like that. Just buildings, we'll say between 5 stories high as max. Urban sprawl, maybe about 10K by 10K as a full size. Not 100% on the size of it right now, but a decent playable area. Interiors, furniture, things of that nature, the little things. And so if you're okay, if you can do animations, come on, let's go. If you can make a handgun that's riggable and usable with different LODs, need it. Furniture, mapping, textures. If you can contribute in any way, shape, or form in building a game in the Unreal Engine 4 environment, please let me know, and we'll try to work out something. Alright, so again, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this, if you did, and hopefully I didn't bore you too much. Definitely leave some comments on what you can do to contribute to the game, whether it's ideas or actual work, and hopefully in future updates we'll cover some more information and show you some more updates on what's going on with the game and content wise and so forth, and we'll see you down the road. Thank you.